Good afternoon to all of our Stella Maris Academy families. This is Mrs. Moss with our weekly video update. I know there's been some concerns regarding what will happen to our in-person education if San Diego County moves into the purple tier next week. So the good news is nothing. It does not affect us. It doesn't affect any schools that are already open for in-person learning, whether you have the waiver or not. So therefore, if the county does move into the purple tier, our school will still be open for business as usual. Whatever as usual means, obviously. But we will keep up with our protocols and continue to move forward in the safest manner possible. So you can rest assured that that will not affect our school and the school days. Additionally, there have been some questions about, are we going to go out again on a whole school quarantine? And my answer to you is doubtfully. This last quarantine was a very rare occurrence. Normally, if we have a case, most commonly it would be possibly just a class quarantine, if that. So just depending on the contact and the close contact with students. So just so that you are aware of that, more than likely we will not have another all-school quarantine. That's what we're hoping for. Hopefully we won't have to have any more quarantines. So, but that remains to be seen as far as cases go. So far, so good. I would like to review the sick student protocol with you because I do still have some families that have had some questions, and that so if there's a couple families, there's probably more. So if a child has one or more symptoms of the virus, and that's everything from a temperature to any kind of flu-type symptoms, headaches, nausea, loss of taste, loss of smell, like I said, nausea, vomiting, any runny nose. If your child has any of those symptoms before you leave the house, I encourage you, please do not bring them to school, because we're going to be calling you to come and get them. So, because that's what we have to do. If you get a call and your child has some of these symptoms and needs to go home, you can go one of two ways. You can take your child directly to a test center or to your doctor and get a COVID test. Once you have a negative test, your child can return, but they can't return. They have to be home for 3 days after the symptoms have been resolved. So let's say they go home for a runny nose, and the runny nose is done. It ends Monday. Monday's the last day for the runny nose. Then you have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. They cannot come back until Friday. It's 3 full days after the symptoms. Same with the fever. It has to be 3 days without fever before they can return, if you have a negative COVID test result. If you choose not to have a COVID test result, then your child must stay home for 10 days following the resolve of those symptoms. So it really is to your benefit to have your child tested, because they can come back sooner. But if you choose not to be tested, have your child tested, then it's this 10 days after the symptoms have resolved. Once your child's ready to return to school, before they go back to class, you need to come to the office, the school office. If they had a COVID test, we do need that negative test result. These are kept confidentially in a confidential file, but they need to be made available to public health if we were to be asked. Even if you're out for 10 days and then you come back to school, you need to come back to the office. The office is keeping track, because we have to report to public health our absentees. Is the positives, but we also have to show for contact tracing that we're tracing students who have symptoms. They will get a little readmit back to class slip, and that's what the teacher will be looking for when they come back to class. So 3 days after symptoms are resolved with a negative COVID test, 10 days after symptoms have resolved without a COVID test. If your child has chronic migraines or chronic asthma or chronic allergies, and you get a letter from your doctor that is sent to us, then you don't have to be out every time your child has a sniffle if he or she has got chronic allergies. We have that letter on on file at school, and then we can make exceptions for those children. And we have done that in some cases. I know this is a lot to take in, but it's so important that we follow these guidelines so we can remain open for business. That's the most important thing. We have to be vigilant. We've got our waiver filled out and we've got all of our reopening planned, but it's not any better than the paper it's written on if we don't follow what we say we're doing. So that is the most important thing. We appreciate your support with this. I know this is not the most ideal situation, but it is what it is, and we're gonna rock it. And we're gonna get through the holidays. People are gonna get some rest and be able to see families, and remembering that everything that you do on the weekends and on the holidays and on days off affects the rest of us here. So we all want to be safe and be sensible, but also be happy. So we thank you. We're looking forward to kind of a intermittent week next week with Veterans Day. Thank you to all of those families who, parents who are veterans or currently serving, or if you have grandparents or any relatives that are currently serving or have served, we thank them for their service. We won't be able to have any kind of an assembly this year, obviously, because we can't have a gathering, but please, we have some wonderful banners that we put up at the school today that'll remain up for the next couple of weeks to honor these very brave men and women who we have so much to be grateful for, and we are indebted to them for the sacrifices that they make and that their families make. So thank you to them, and again, thank you to you. You are all heroes in our book for surviving all of these past several months. We'll get through it because we have our faith on our side and we have one another to lean on. Thank you, and have a great weekend.